How did the personnel react to being told to stand down?
They were furious.
Back with General Jory Boyken and Christian Whiton, former State Department official. General, they were told to stand down. They were told not to go in. I want you to describe who has the authority to tell that contingent to stand down, and how high up is that order likely to have come from?
Well, that's why we need more hearings, Governor. First of all, the order to actually engage troops in a rescue operation has to come from the president, unless it's a military facility, and then the commander has certain authorities. But it has to come from the president to put troops in harm's way. Now, in that case, because we don't know enough of the details, that could have come from the commander of the Africa Command that told them to stand down, but play that all the way out. Who told him not to allow them to? This hearing, and I applaud Mr. Issa, but this hearing has left us with an awful lot of questions that have to be answered in subsequent hearings, because the question you ask is a question that needs to be answered by responsible people.
And Christian, if these requests were coming out of Benghazi and also out of Tripoli, because that's where Mr. Hicks was saying, you know, we want to go, his response was that personnel there wanted to be turned loose to go and do what they could, and when they were told they could not, they were furious. Does that sort of indicate what your experience is with people who are career foreign service people, that when it comes down to it, they are Americans first and their ideology goes out the window?
I think certainly, and if you look at some of the comments, some of the military folks, the CIA folks, were highly impressed that the diplomats were willing to take risks to help rescue, or at least tend to, their comrades. So this really was shocking, and, you know, where did it come from? If you look back at the White House in particular, Dennis McDonough, who is now the White House Chief of Staff, was at that time the deputy of the National Security Council, pulled together a meeting along with Ben Rhodes and others, which is probably where this, where I think, you know, we don't have the proof yet and we need to get it, but where some of these very bad and dangerous decisions were made and where the cover-up really had its genesis. And
we don't know where the president really was. We know he had one phone call that night, but otherwise, no photos of him in the Situation Room, no indication, no even White House official coming and saying the president was monitoring this from the Situation Room or from the Oval Office or even from the residence. We have no idea what his engagement and involvement was. Now, General, a lot of accusations have come from Democrats saying that this is all about politics, just to embarrass the president. You're a military guy. Right. And you led an effort, 700 Special Forces people, to sign a letter. Was that a political statement on your part and those of the 700 Special Forces individuals?
No, Governor, it wasn't. These people are people that spent their military careers preparing for and launching operations to rescue Americans or to recover their bodies. It only took us a few days to get those 700 retired and former special operations people, because their passion runs deep. There is no way that we could have watched 4 diplomats die without launching a military attack unless something broke down in the system, and I think what we'll find ultimately is that the decision-making process broke down. But we feel passionately about it. We don't care about the memo that was changed. We don't care about what Susan Rice said. What we care about is, why did we leave 4 Americans on their own? Because there's a message to every man, woman in the future that we put into harm's way, that if you get in a tight spot, we're not going to come and get you. And remember this, William Tecumseh Sherman said to Ulysses S. Grant in a letter in 1864, I knew wherever I was that you thought of me, and if I got in a tight spot, you would come, if alive. That's a national ethos.
I understand that there's a lot of anger within the military and within the intelligence community, feeling like that they have been, in essence, blamed for everything from the rewrite of the memos. Does this mean that at some point these folks are going to break their silence, come forward and start telling the story, because they want to preserve their honor and their dignity? And I especially think these CIA guys, who I respect so much, because they put their lives on the line. They risk everything, and they don't get the opportunity to even go home and tell their families what they've done for America today. And they're being blamed for all this. Will some of them start breaking and telling their stories?
I think the next set of hearings need to start bringing in some of the military people as well as some of the CIA people and ask these questions like you ask. See, I've spent 2 years at the CIA. I'm tired of seeing the CIA get beat up. They seem to be the whipping boy, and it's because they live under such a cloud of secrecy that you can't know what's going on there. But these are good people. They're honorable people. The CIA never would have left those people behind. I know them too well. But there's got to be more hearings, and we're calling for a bipartisan commission with subpoena power to bring in these military and CIA people and get to the bottom of this.
Well, I hope it happens. General, thank you very much for your perspective. Christian, for yours, both of you having firsthand knowledge of what happens behind the scenes.